Hey guys, this is my first video. It's going to be a little bit different than the content I plan on posting in the future, but it goes along the same principles as to what brought me here. I want to raise awareness. I don't like being lied to. I believe there are a lot of bad things going on in this world, and I just want to know the truth. And maybe I just want to help others start questioning the things around them as well. So today I'm going to talk about a semi-famous internet blogger by the former name of Jarrett Scott Page. He was best known on Instagram and Twitter as a celebrity blogger and a personality. And a few weeks ago, about a month ago, his fans found out that he was presumably dead after being absent from social media for just a few days. And you know, some of us already know the general public is very, very gullible. And when you hear about someone dying, your first thoughts are like, oh, this is so tragic, this is so sad. You know, nobody really wants to believe that somebody is so messy that they would go and fake their own death. But what's ironic about this is that Jarrett Scott Page had a self-proclaimed nickname of Messy Boots. Anyway, I guess I just felt like something was really off about the whole situation. It came out of nowhere. I followed up and I did my own research on the matter, and while I'm not going to go over everything that I found, I'm going to go over some of the key things that really raised some concerns to me. First of all, I just want to say that it's not a crime to fake your own death. What does make it a crime is if there's some type of insurance fraud. And to the best of my knowledge, Jarrett did not do any insurance fraud. In fact, his family started a GoFundMe account to raise money for his funeral expenses, stating that his life insurance policy just wasn't old enough for a payout. And I believe they're asking for about $12,000 from everyone, and they only reached about half of that. Now, the first red flag that I noticed was something that many of his followers initially pointed out when all of this started to unravel. Immediate notice of his death was posted on his Instagram, his Facebook, Twitter accounts. And I just was wondering, how does his family have access to all of his accounts right away like that? I'm sure we all have our social media apps logged into our cell phones. Most of us do have passwords on our phones. Could it be that Jarrett just did not have a password on his phone or his laptop and it conveniently was logged into all of his social media accounts? As Messy Boots was, all it took was for his brother or whomever this was to pick up their phone and just have full access to all their social media accounts. And sure, maybe. Now let's continue. Following his death, there were multiple posts on Facebook and Instagram and his Twitter to encourage his friends and fans to donate to his GoFundMe account. Following those posts were notifications of a wake where the public was welcome to come and view his body and say their goodbyes. Now you'd think somebody with over 100,000 followers on Instagram would have somewhat of a turnout for his viewing. So I went ahead and took the time and I read every single comment on his Instagram and his Facebook because I was really interested to hear what people had to say who actually took the time to go to his viewing. Now, Jarrett Scott Page, he died in Orlando, Florida. His viewing was in Orlando, Florida. And out of that 100,000 people that claimed to be his friends or his fans, only a very, very small handful actually admitted to going to his wake. So I'm just gonna go through and take a look at these comments that people left who actually went to his wake. But there's one important fact I want you guys to know before we go over these comments. From my research, I discovered that Jarrett Scott Page actually moved to Texas after faking his own death. There were even confirmations that people saw him at the Nicki Minaj concert in Texas after he died. So, presumably, Jarrett Scott Page is in Texas right now instead of Orlando, Florida. Now, the first person I'm showing you did not claim that they went to the wake, but give us a little backstory as to what presumably happened. Basically, they're saying that he was surrounded by his family and close friends, his sisters, his roommate, and he's saying it's true. We are not for sure what caused his death. Yes, it seems unreal, but it's true. It's from his family members' page, and the people he hung out with, they confirmed it. It's obvious that it's true. May he rest in peace, and blah, blah, blah. So Tanya, you know, I wondered, where did Tanya get all this information from? So I go to Tanya's page, and guess where Tanya lives at? Tanya lives in Texas. So that was a little strange. Okay, so the next guy. He says that he was actually in the Orlando area on business. And he says, I went as well as mostly family. Some people were in and out. Nobody acted out of order. Those who came, cameras didn't take any pictures. You barely saw any phones out. And then he just confirms that it was indeed Jarrett in the casket. He did not look like himself. He did have a lot of makeup on, and there were enough plants and flowers. It was a good reception. Okay. So I was wondering, where does DeMarco live at? And I go and look at his page, and sure enough, he lives in Texas again. So I found that a little weird. I searched more comments, and I come across Alan. Alan says, I wasn't going to say anything, but at this point I feel compelled to. I didn't know Jarrett nor follow his work. I went to the memorial service to support a friend who took Jarrett's demise very hard. There is no question in my mind that it was him in the casket. Well, if he didn't know Jarrett at all, how does he know it was for sure him in the casket? He goes on to say this is not a sick joke. Those of you who have been very insensitive, I hope this is a coping mechanism and that you get over it soon. Those of you that are skeptical, he's gone. Those of you that loved him or even cared for him, may he rest in peace, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, where's this Alan guy from? This Alan guy who claims he's positive he's dead, and that was him in the casket, yet has never met Jarrett in his life. Sure enough, I click on Alan's profile, and he is also from Texas. Okay, what is going on here? So I continue searching through the comments to see who else went, and I came across Carmen. She says, I went and his casket was cream or beige. The lights were not bright over him because he was starting to deteriorate. And I just found this completely odd. I've been to my fair share of funerals before. Not once have I noticed that the person in that casket was starting to deteriorate. Again, they say it didn't take any pictures. People were asked to leave their phones in the car. And then she said that she stayed about 10 minutes or so and then bounced on out. Basically saying, here you go, private eye, good night, I'm tired, trying to dismiss someone. So I go to her page and I look and I notice that she is from Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. I found maybe one other person who went to the wake, and they were actually from Orlando, Florida, where he died. But all of these people popping up are from Texas, where he moved to after he presumably died. Does that not seem a little strange to you guys? The rest of the screenshots I have are just conversations I've had with other people on Instagram who also felt like something was off. And basically they're just confirming that the people they spoke to said that it didn't look like Jarrett in the casket, that there were sightings of him at the Nicki Minaj concert following his death. And I'm going to wrap this up with one of the most damning evidence to all to me. And it is that Jarrett Scott Page appears to have taken a new identity online and is now posting as someone else on Instagram that is a celebrity blogger and a personality, and their name is The Shade King. And he's not doing a very good job at hiding the fact that it's him. I could take time and post screenshot after screenshot of Jarrett Scott Page's Instagram and The Shade King's Instagram, and you would see just all these striking similarities to both of these pages. And his followers, they know it. They're pointing it out. I've had several followers just under his comments say something, as you see here, is Jarrett said this, or, oh, Jarrett did that. And I've noticed over time that numerous posters are continuing to point this out. So I just encourage anyone who donated to his GoFundMe account or also felt that something's off to just go in and visit the Shade King's Instagram page and see for yourself that his content is nearly identical to what Jarrett Scott Page would post. I mean, is this all a coincidence? I mean, maybe. I'm not here to say that for certain Jarrett Scott Page faked his own death or that he's not dead. I'm just here to raise a little bit of awareness on this and teach people to believe nothing of what you hear and only half of what you see. You know, it's time for us to wake up and start questioning this fuckery that's going on around us.